Hello and welcome to the PHNX Diamondbacks Podcast right here on PHNX. I, of course, am Derek Montilla, officially known as your mayor of Christmastown and of PHNX. I'm making it official across the board. And, of course, this show is brought to you by the fine folks over at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use our code of PHNX, and simply for betting $1 on any NFL team to score on Thursday Night Football, this weekend, whenever, you will get $100 in free bets should the team score some points that you bet on. Of course, I'm joined, and of course, there's a lot of courses tonight. I am joined by my friend, my vice mayor, the one and only Jesse Friedman.
Derek, I was so hyped for us to be together in studio today. I put it out there on Twitter yesterday, and sure COVID has sort of gotten in the way.
COVID strikes again. COVID is
undefeated. Again. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, everyone is okay as of right now, but a family member tested positive, and when that happens, we've all been there at this point. So playing it safe.
Sure. We decided to play it safe. Even with a negative test, we're not 100% sure, and you've been here for a short amount of time, so I really felt like it was the best, but I was brokenhearted. I had a gift for you. I was planning on doing a gift exchange on this show. We were going to decorate your
walls. Wow, on the show, no less.
Yeah, not on the show, nonetheless. But now we don't have that, but we do have testing protocols to talk about for this show and for this network, and that's what we're in now. We have an official protocol that we came up with ourselves, and that was, if there's a danger, let's not get together and spread it. It seems like
you know what we do have though, Derek. We do have a billboard. I'm told
we have a billboard. Get out of here! What is that about? A billboard that you can see from the freeway, nonetheless. This isn't one of those shabby billboards hidden back behind a building or something that no one's going to see. No, Jesse, this is a digital billboard for this podcast. If you aren't excited, get excited, because that's what's happening. We're advertising. We're bringing in new listeners. We're doing more to grow the sport than MLB is. So join us. I hope I hope there's at least one new listener right now listening because they saw that billboard, Jesse. That's my hope. And every show, I just want that one person. Identify yourself. Send us a message. Send us a tweet. We'd love to hear from you. But of course, baseball is not really happening right now. Of course, we are always happening. And I had some exciting things to talk about. MLB Trade Rumors put out a list, Jesse, of the top, or I should say the biggest contracts in each team's history, right?
Right.
So I was very shocked to find out it was not Yasmani Tomas, Jesse. It's kind of incredible. But the Arizona Diamondbacks' biggest contract, obviously, Zach Greinke, which you covered on GoPHNX.com as far as that deal, what the cost of it was, and if you felt like it ended up being a good deal for the D-backs.
It was a lot of money, Derek. It was $206.5 million. That is a lot of money for a small market team like the Diamondbacks. But I made the argument in my article that I don't think that if we could do that over again, I don't think the Diamondbacks would do anything different. I mean, Zach Greinke was a big part of this franchise. We all know how it started out. 2016 was ugly. He had an ERA of almost 4.5. I still remember the ringing in Chase Field of just home run after home run hit by the Colorado Rockies in his first game as a Diamondback.
Wasn't that Trevor Story's debut too?
Yeah, Trevor Story hit 2 home runs in his major league debut. It was all around just an ugly memory, but it ended well for the Diamondbacks. I mean, they did well. We think in the trade that they made with the Houston Astros, the returns there, obviously there's a lot of things we're still waiting on with JB Bukauskas and Corbin Martin. But Josh Rojas is already here and has turned himself into a pretty decent player. So I think the Diamondbacks would do it again if they could. And that's why I wrote that, don't count them out in the future. I don't know if they're going to hand out $200 million to a free agent very often, but it could happen again because it kind of worked the last and only time that they did it.
Well, and again, you think about these contracts that the Diamondbacks have given out to ace pitchers that are kind of on the other side of their careers, right? The one thing about Greinke was that he found a way to adapt and evolve his game while he was here. I felt like he's
so brilliant. He's just such a smart guy.
Well, and pitchers, I think, they need to go through that evolution if they want to have one of those 10, 15-year careers in baseball.
Unless you're Max Scherzer, in which case you just never lose your velocity
nothing.
and your stuff is elite for your entire career, and that's just the way it is.
Why are you're making me mad? I thought we weren't supposed to be making each other mad. That makes me mad. Well, let's take a look. I want to take a look at some of the biggest contracts that we have in team history for not just our teams, for other teams. This the MLB Trade Rumors article covered every single team, and I thought there were some interesting numbers and some interesting players here. Obviously, we talked about the Arizona Diamondbacks with Zach Greinke, 6 years, $206.5 million, signed in 2015, the biggest contract still to date in Arizona Diamondbacks history. But one thing I found really interesting, Paul Goldschmidt is the biggest contract in St. Louis Cardinals history, right? 5 years, $130 million. That surprised me. I think that surprised me because the St. Louis Cardinals typically, they've been a contender for a number of years. They've signed a number of guys.
Yeah. They don't really spend that much money, though. That's kind of like they've never been a big free agent team. Yeah,
exactly. And that's, I think, a critical part of their success, right? Their ability to stay good, to stay competitive year after year. Like, they're not going to always win their division. They're not always going to make a splash in the playoffs or win the World Series. But you got to admit that the St. Louis Cardinals are always competitive, and it's always like an amazing baseball city too. Like they always have a packed stadium. It's just an incredible atmosphere. But I found that surprising. And again, the Paul Goldschmidt deal once again ties back to us. This is what Paul Goldschmidt would have required to stay as an Arizona Diamondback. These two things couldn't have happened at the same time. They couldn't have Greinke still on their payroll and pay Paul Goldschmidt $130 million over 5 years. But another couple. Well, I don't know that you could argue that's a whole other thing you could argue. But the biggest contract ever, as far as not per year, not per season, but the biggest total dollar amount ever is by the Dodgers, of course, with Mookie Betts, 12 years, $365 million, signed in 2020. The least amount spent, a tie between the former Indians, the Guardians, and the Pirates. Pirates back in 2000 gave their biggest contract in team history to Jason Kendall, 6 years, $60 million.
Jason Kendall was a pretty good choice for that. I mean, if you're gonna spend money on one guy, Jason Kendall's not a bad choice. But $60 million is not much. That's
kind of crazy. Hilarious, right? Like, and then like when you look at the Indians/Guardians, right? Which I guess we're just gonna have to start calling them the Guardians from now on. It's it's weird to talk about team history and not bring up their former name, right? But Edwin Encarnacion, 3 years, $60 million, signed in 2017. That is in their entire team history. That's the most that they've ever spent on a free agent. That is nuts to me. That is nuts. I'm sure they've had a few guys that maybe had like 4 years, 5 years, but 3 years, $60 million, the biggest contract in Guardians history. And of course, the longest contract in baseball, 14 years. Fernando Tatis Jr. will be a member of the San Diego Padres, signed in 21. Of course, we all know about this. $340 million. So there's your biggest contracts in baseball. We talked a couple of days ago about payrolls being down in baseball, just in general, what's happening. But it doesn't mean that they're still not paying absurd amounts of money to guys. And for a long period of time, like when you look at that Fernando Tatis deal, if let's just say he ends up being everything that they want and expect him to be. Right.
He could be. He's pretty darn good.
He is, right. Let's say he stays healthy, and let's say he can, compete at a high level for the entire contract. Right. 5 years from now, that deal might end up looking like a deal. Right. I mean, it might literally end up looking like a deal. Or again, it might be one of those things that makes the team look foolish that they committed that long term to any athlete or player without knowing the future. Like 14 years, That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
14 years to be guaranteed to have a job, no matter how bad or good I do. Are you kidding me? I'd take that in a heartbeat. I don't even need the dollar.
Did Wells Fargo give you 14 years?
No. I got 17 years in at Wells Fargo, but it was not contractually guaranteed. I had to work.
Sure.
I had to work for those renewals every year. You know what I mean? But definitely not something that, it's just wild to me. I mean, again, like I said, if he does end up being that good of a player, it's like Mookie Betts, right? Mookie Betts is a really good player. Is he going to be that good for that long? 12 years? I just don't know. And, what's the motivation on the player's end to keep being good, especially if the team decides to not be very competitive around him and such, right? So
sure.
I don't know what the answer is to that, but I'm just glad that the Arizona Diamondbacks have kind of stayed off of that super high end, of the deals, because there are a lot of plus $300 million deals that were on that list.
You really got to love that the biggest and longest contracts in all of baseball that have ever been handed out both came from teams in the Diamondbacks
in this division in the NL West. Really that's not at all terrible at all. No, not at all, Jesse.
But the Diamondbacks don't embarrass themselves on the list, right? That's what stands out to me is that, I mean, you think the Diamondbacks don't spend money. The Guardians and the Pirates, like you just showed us, 60 million is the most they've ever spent on any player, right? And those contracts, especially for the Pirates, came more than 20 years ago, right? So the Diamondbacks are not the only ones in this. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you can complain about the Diamondbacks being penny pinchers all you want, being frugal all you want. Look at some of those
they
deals.
are
My
in some
God,
ways.
they are.
But,
they are. But like I said, I don't know, man. I mean, it kind of. And what's up, Robert York? By the way, hey, back to you. I'm going to say this much: you could spend all the money that you want, but I just don't know if it. Again, if does it lead to winning? And I'm not going to disagree with our man Brett Johnson here. Ken Kendrick is pretty allergic to spending money, right? I don't know what the right answer here is at times, because again, they have thrown big money around. It didn't really work out for them. The Zach Greinke deal was good, as you discussed in your article, which, by the way, you guys can check out on gophnx.com. Go over there, become a member, read Jesse's tremendous article. Then you can see his breakdown of it. You can become an annual member and you'll get the free t-shirt over at the phnxlocker.com, or you can become a month-to-month member and you'll get your first month for just 50 cents. But we implore you to join us so that way you can check out these articles. We're breaking down a lot of these contracts, and Jesse especially does an excellent job at breaking down Mike Hazen's free agent deals, the trades, everything that kind of has happened in this within this regime. So become a member and you'll get not only access to our members only Discord, but you'll get members only deals over at the phnxlocker.com. But Jesse, I mean, the Diamondbacks definitely haven't spent money, but again, when they have, it didn't really work out the way that it, they wanted.
I mean, even Greinke, I will say, like, although I think they would do it again, it still was risky, and it still, I mean, you still could,
and it took time to work out.
Yeah. And you still could make a valid argument like, okay, Greinke was great, but was he actually worth $206 million? And to that, I have to acknowledge, maybe not, right? I think it was still worthwhile in the end doing that move, but it's hard to get that much value out of any particular player. And the other times they've spent big, Derek, Yasmani Tomas and Madison Bumgarner come to mind. And Tomas, obviously, that was a mess. And Madison Bumgarner, unfortunately, right now, as our friend Jack Summers was breaking down on Twitter today, that deal doesn't look so great either. So when they have spent big, the results have been a little dicey at times.
As a matter of fact, there was a bet laid down that we need to address. But first, to Evan Thompson's point, a respected fellow member of the media told him that once Ken Kendrick has spent money before, just not wisely, and he has a point. And Evan has a point. I again, there's a couple of these situations, especially for the Diamondbacks, like you said, like Evan said, Greinke and Bum. But I will say that there are, obviously situations where we've seen teams spend money. There's teams that have spent money right now that it hasn't worked out for them yet. The Padres come to mind. We have mocked the Rangers $500 million free agency bill a little bit.
We spend a lot of time mocking the Rangers, even though we've like never seen them play.
I know, like we're not even like we don't even know that, but it's you know what? It's the spending though, right? And it's kind of like it's like a relationship, you know, like if you hear one of your buddies is spending a lot of money to fix his relationship with his, you know, significant other, that's not a good sign. And you're like, hey, pal, maybe there's some other things you need to address there rather than throwing money at the problem, right? And it's the same could be said for any sports team. I think that the Diamondbacks have done a good job at addressing some of their actual issues, but maybe let's do a combination of the two things, right? Let's maybe also get some spending on the coaches as well as a couple of, you know, solid free agents that can actually make this team better. I'm kind of tired of you and I saying this team isn't going to be competitive. We all know that, but that doesn't have to be the truth, right? Also, you don't have to throw $500 million at it to try to fix it either. There's a middle ground there, right? And I mean, I don't know, man. I think Miguel Baca says this organization went downhill after 2017 season when the organization didn't re-sign JD Martinez, and he is goddamn right. JD Martinez was a once in a lifetime talent, and it cost the Red Sox like a little over $100 million, but it wasn't even as much as the Goldschmidt deal. To be honest, I would have much rather held on to JD Martinez than Goldschmidt, considering his upside and what he did.
Whoa, did you just say that, Derek?
I said that on a Diamondbacks podcast. I'm throwing stones in a glass house. But also, Mark says, I'd love the D-backs to send maybe half of that $500 million. Exactly. We can find a middle ground.
All we ask is $250 million. There you go. Yeah.
I know. Well, I don't think he liked that. He didn't like that last Greinke or that last Goldschmidt comment too much, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, they can spend some money, you know, they can spend some money. And again, yes, I know. See that now they're turning on me, Jesse, because I said the Goldschmidt thing, and
you got to be careful with that one there. But you got to be careful with that.
I love JD Martinez. If you listen to me on other shows before we did this podcast, you'll know my man crush on JD Martinez. But anyway, if it was going to cost us less money, I say we should have done it. I also like Brett Johnson's idea here about let's save in some money to spend on the future of this team, and that's what I would like to see. I would love to see talent come up, be good, and you know, honestly, spend the money on them. Spend the money on them rather than trying necessarily to you know, get them to get free agents here. And unfortunately, we lost Mark. Jesse, we lost Mark.
Wow, Derek, look at what you've done. My gosh, we have a billboard, Derek. We have a reputation to uphold.
I know we stand America's first baseman around here. Yeah, that's right.
I think that's an interesting question. Going back to your JD Martinez, Paul Goldschmidt thing, like obviously hindsight is 2020, so we can kind of look back on how they've performed. Paul Goldschmidt is probably season. JD Martinez went through a stretch in Boston where he wasn't actually very good either. I think it was the pandemic season. JD Martinez was not himself. And Paul Goldschmidt, as we've talked about, has had his issues at times as well since going over to St. Louis. It hasn't really been all smooth sailing for him either. Today, you'd probably take Goldie over JD Martinez. JD Martinez is kind of restricted to being a DH, but as we're going to talk about later in the show, Derek, the Diamondbacks might be getting the DH here pretty soon. So maybe he could have slid into that role for them.
That's totally where we're going with this, Jesse, because I feel like of all the things that we've talked about that's coming up in the new CBA, there's a lot of really radical ideas out there that you and I both kind of agree, and other writers agree we probably aren't going to see the light of day, right? When all is said and done, there could easily be few changes actually made to the sport. We might not see expanded playoffs. We might not see all of these things that impact the game go through, but the one thing that has a very, very good chance of going through is the universal DH, the designated hitter for everybody, right? So and let's take a look at some of those options for the Arizona Diamondbacks. But before we do that, I've of course got to tell you guys to go over to the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Download that. Use our code of PHNX for $1. You will get $100 in free bets to bet as long as you bet on an NFL team to score, and they score. That's it. It's that simple. Go do that and get your $100 bets. Turn around them into same game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. And then, again, like I said, recoup these holiday funds or start planning that New Year's party, right? Let's get some fireworks purchased. Fireworks aren't cheap. I was at Walmart, $119 for a package of fireworks. Things are getting out of control. Gosh. But it was a big pack, Jesse, and I wanted it. There was a lot of exploding things. None of them are good, by the way. It's a bunch of boxes that shoot sparks up, and I still wanted it. But it doesn't matter what your plans are. You can have the money for it by getting your $100 in free bets and then turning that into some cash with some same game parlays. Remember, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Honestly, once you go into the same game parlay, if you don't already know this, there's a ton of options for you to choose. Pretty safe ones. Make yourself a coward's parlay, as Shane Diefenlock likes to call it, of mine. But again, that code is PHNX to bet $1 on any team to score $100 in free bets. Should they score, you're going to score with that promo code of PHNX. Don't forget, DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. 21 and over only, Arizona only. Gambling problem, dial 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And let's talk about some, Jesse, of the Arizona Diamondbacks options that they have for that designated hitter should that go through. And Brett Johnson, yep, man. Yeah, he knows already.
He's got the big one, yeah.
It's Seth Beer season already, but let's take a look. A lot of options actually on this list as far as, some free agency options, some other ridiculous options that we threw up there.
Oh, my gosh, this is ridiculous.
First, we got Seth Beer hitting 444, 500, 889. Obviously, the greatest hitter of all time.
Yeah.
It's his career numbers, Jesse. These are career numbers. We got Nelson
definitely
Cruz.
More than 10 plate appearances, for sure.
That's right. We got Albert Pujols on this list, Chris Davis, just a couple of the other free agent designated hitters. Obviously, some older guys there, some guys that might not even play next season. Nelson Cruz has been rumored to potentially be hanging it up, but if he can still, if he can still play at a level where he can, be a value as a hitter, he's always put up some great numbers. But here's the one. You see the ones I want to talk about, Jesse.
Yeah, I'm trying. I did not get approval over this graphic, just so our audience knows. I don't know what the heck is happening on here.
Right. We got Yasmani Tomas on here. I'm not saying we need to bring him back for what these are his career numbers, Jesse. Slashing 266, 306, 459.
Okay, but that's not that. I mean, that's not that good. You're right. It's not. No. It's not as bad as people probably think.
It's not as bad as you think, right? Yeah, it's not as bad, but Mark's on board with Tomas season, baby. Hey, you know what? All I would like to see is them give him like a very small contract and then have him come and contribute. That's what I want. But again, if all else fails, we have Madison Bumgarner, Jesse, a Silver Slug
with a picture of
winner.
Chris Bryant.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening there. What is going on? I didn't approve this graphic either, man.
Can I have the guy in the picture rather than the name? Can we have Chris Bryant DH? I'm on board with that.
Yeah, I have to talk to our graphics department. But let's see. We got Brett Johnson said, "Can Man Bum just DH for Nick Ahmed every game?" See, that's what we're going for. We're trying to maybe on the games Madison Bumgarner pitches, someone else like Nick Ahmed can be sat. I don't know, but this isn't. These aren't great options except Seth Beer, Jesse. So I mean, I think that's
this comparatively is all ridiculous.
I just wanted everybody to see Seth Beer's career numbers compared to some of these other guys. That's it. And obviously,
he's a better hitter than Albert Pujols. I mean, the numbers bear that out. Seth Beer's had a much better career than Albert Pujols for sure.
That's what I'm trying to say here, Jesse. You get where we're going with this, but this is nightmare fuel basically, and I don't know what the Diamondbacks are going to do for DH. They have a lot of options. I think they legitimately do have options with younger guys. One of their jams right now is to get guys up and just get them playing time. So I wouldn't be surprised to see kind of a platoon of younger guys come up, especially if they're hitting hot, like Alec Thomas, Seth Beer. I mean, Seth Beer hit a home run in his first game, right? I mean,
he's a stud.
there's just something about that. Of course he got hurt. It's kind of like, Corbin Carroll's injury where he hurt his shoulder hitting a home run. Like, who does that? Who hits a home run but also injured themselves? A very strong person and a good hitter. So I don't really know which way they're going to go. What do you think as far as a designator hitter? Do you think they turn to the free agency market, or do you think they just stick with these young guys?
It's probably internal. One name all throughout there that people might be a little shocked by is I wouldn't be surprised if Ketel Marte played a little bit of DH this season. Just because the Diamondbacks have had issues with him staying on the field, right? He's really struggled with the injury bug these last few years, and center field seems to not be the best fit for him. I think the team will move forward with him as a second baseman primarily, hopefully. I think that's what a lot of people want at this point, and I think the Diamondbacks recognize that now. But every few days, Derek, I wouldn't be surprised to see them get Ketel off his feet and just have him DH every once in a while. They have a lot of depth at second base. They have Josh Rojas who can play there. They have Josh Van Meter as well. So they could easily give Ketel Marte a day off defensively from time to time. And the big thing for them, I don't know if there's anything bigger for the Diamondbacks in 2022 than getting Ketel Marte's bat in the lineup as many games as you possibly can, right? I mean, he is their best player.
He hits 320. That's what he does. That's all he does. He hits 320, He
legit hits 320, yes.
And actually, Evan said something here that I actually was going to suggest we might see as well. Don't be surprised if Torii rotates regular position players through the DH as a semi-day off.
I think Tori's going to love it. Tori's going to love the DH because he's going to be able to give all kinds of half days off to guys all the time, right?
Well, let's be honest. Torii is a creature of habit. We've joked about that last game of the season last year when he sat Ketel, and I have said it was tank season, baby. I don't care. Jesse, I don't care what he says. It was tank season. It was tank season, and that's why Ketel sat. But he says it's because it was the last game of the year was somehow Ketel's game to sit, right?
Yes,
if that's the case, which I actually believe it is, I think Torii is that much of like sticking to his schedule.
I think so too. Yeah.
Then absolutely, because what we won't see anymore is guys on like a 5-game hitting streak all of a sudden be sat, or, I'm not trying to make it sound like some big crazy hitting streak, but sometimes guys get on a tear. We'll see David Peralta go, over the course of a week, he'll hit 5 home runs and hit like nearly 400, and then an off day comes and you're just like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? So
I think Diamondbacks fans have been frustrated by that since the day Torii Lovello got here. There have been a lot of those moments for sure.
If there's anything people really can criticize and honestly be correct about, is that Torii does, to his own detriment, to the team's detriment at times, sticks to a game plan, and I just don't think baseball's like that. I honestly think, I get it. It's a 162 game season. Tori's always looking at it like a cross country, road trip, like where he has like stops in mind where he's going to get gas and places they're going to sleep because, you can't just drive through the night the whole time. You're never going to make it all 162 games if you just drive through the night, Jesse. You got to stop at motels and sleep on the way. And that's the way, that Torii kind of runs his team. So, I don't know, man, but I will say I agree with David Peralta getting some time at DH and Beer being in left field.
I don't know if you want. Be careful what you wish for, Mark. I don't know if you want Seth Beer in left field. Seth Beer is he's a great hitter, but I don't know if you're gonna want to put Seth Beer in the outfield too often.
I don't know what this means, Robert York. He says, hot take, back to little purple light emoji within 5 years. Are you talking about purple? Does he mean purple, Jesse? Is he talking about going back?
I think
to
that's
purple
what the comment
and copper. Is that what it means? Because Robert York just became my best friend. Yes, I say strategically planning, right? It's kind of like when you have a big announcement to make or you want to revamp something, like wait till the team is good again. Wait until you know that they're going to be competitive, and then make that the time to strike with the purple and the copper and the teal back. Just go full at it. I don't know. Where are we at? We're close to 25 years, right? Do it at the 25-year.
Yeah, the 25-year anniversary, 2023. It's not far away.
And it coincides so nicely, Jesse. We need it back. So everybody in the comments agrees. I don't know what they're going to do, honestly, at DH. I do think, though, that the stuff we said will probably be the likely answer versus going to free agency. I don't really see them doing that, especially when they have some pretty good hitters. You know, they do have good hitters. They just don't have the right combination of guys at times. And right now there's just too much talent they still need to address as far as third base, their outfield still, and other positions.
They've got some positions to fill probably before the DH really gets a whole lot of clarity. One thing I will throw in there, Derek, is I can tell you who's not going to be DH, and that would be Andrew Young, who we've talked about in the past, and how the Diamondbacks lost him in the minor league Rule 5 draft. That's probably the position he would have wound up at if he stuck here. He's just not. Second base for him was a struggle. I wrote about the defense for this team as well, and he posted -10 defensive runs saved in about 15 games, which is alarming.
He was the biggest detriment at second base, right? Because we ranked 30th in defensive runs saved at 30.
And he only played about 15 games there. That's what's more shocking.
That's staggering. It's almost a run loss per game he started or played in. And that just doesn't even make any sense. But I agree here with Brett Johnson. Let's stay away from free agency. Let's not make another Tomas move, for the love of God. Yes. I don't want any more of those moves. You know what we're going to do just for fun, just to be a little cathartic? I think we need to take a day and talk about the Yasmani Tomas move. We can also maybe talk about Young Lopez a bit in there.
Do we really need
we
to have that?
We need to get. I feel like we need to get this off of our chest. It's like the Cardinals with the Pottsville thing. They need to give that title back. We need to exercise the demons of Yasmani Tomas, because I feel like they're still lingering above us somehow, some way. But I also just said a little while ago that maybe
you're the one trying to bring him back.
Mark says I'm going to make a move for Tomas. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But we thank you guys so much for joining us. It was an absolute blast in the comments today. We thank you guys for showing up and being part of the conversation. This was fun. Of course, you can get us on Twitter. I'm at @cap_caveman with a K if you want to unfollow me for my comments earlier. Do not take it out on Jesse N. Friedman. He is at Jesse N. Friedman. Don't take it out on the show. That's at PHNX_Dbacks. And of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports. That's for Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Please don't tell my boss, Saul, that I said the things about Goldschmidt, because people have already been complaining about me on Twitter. So we implore you to follow us on all those social medias. Please subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting app. Leave us a 5-star review, not for my comments today, but for the overall product. And of course, go over to YouTube, subscribe to us there, sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss up any of the Arizona sports content coming out. We appreciate you guys so much for checking out the show. On behalf of Jesse and myself, we thank you for the comments. Please go to DraftKings Sportsbook app, use our code of PHNX. Please sign up to become a member over at gophnx.com. And come back tomorrow. We thank you guys again for watching the show. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you sign Yasmani Tomas to a brand new free agency deal to be the new DH. I don't know. It's crazy talk, but it is what it is. I'll see you guys tomorrow.